what you realize is that it is hard to shift your voice. And that's because you've spoken pretty much one way your entire lives. And so when you're looking to enhance your voice or shift it in some sort of way, it's a lot harder than people think that it is. When we speak, it's
Hmm.
a habit. So when we're looking to enhance or shift our voice, it's about replacing one habit with a new habit. It's not that you still can't speak the way you do, but if you're looking to enhance your voice for your profession, then what we need to do is instill that daily repetition. So we start to incorporate that as a daily habit. And that requires just a little bit of effort each day of doing specific things to get you to that end goal. How long does it take to build a new habit?
Hmm.
Usually about 3 to 4 weeks. So it's that daily practice every day.
Exactly. And how much does this affect, the way your message gets across? You kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I would assume that well, maybe depending on the audience that you have. I mean, for my instance, I have audiences in usually US and Canada. That's probably where I get the most audience. And, me from being from Norway, I might have to think about that a lot more in terms of how I speak versus the Norwegian way of speaking in terms of the US way.
Yeah, I think it tremendously affects our messaging. We in the online space, when you're launching, for example, you spend so much time crafting your messaging, really thinking about those words that you're going to put on
Hmm.
your sales page or speak in the webinar or that video that you're going to make for a Facebook ad, but we don't necessarily think of the delivery. How are you going to say those words in a way that's really going to connect with your potential clients, those people that you want to work with? How are you going to create influence and impact with them? The most effective way is through your voice, because what we're doing is we are creating an experience for them. We are taking them on a journey from where they are now to where they want to be. And when we can connect to them emotionally and in a very personal and relatable way, that's where they're going to develop that know, like, and trust for you and want to take that next step and work with you, because you are the right person to take them on that path to the transformation that they desire. It's all about emotions and feelings, the pain points. All of that can get conveyed so naturally in your voice. The problem is that for us, for most of us as human beings, we tend to suppress that. And I think for a lot of us,
Hmm.
there's that worry or fear of how is that person going to perceive us when we speak a certain way. So we tend to put a little barrier between us and our audience. But when we can chip away at that barrier and really let our audience see who we are, that's when they want to work with us, because they realize we're a real human being. We're not just some sort of talking face on the computer. We're an actual person that cares about their end results.
Hmm. Absolutely. And, you know, when you hear people talk with an accent, which is really common these days, obviously, because we're doing so much online, there's probably a lot of people who are thinking, oh, I have this accent and it's really noticeable. And I don't know if I want to, do podcasts or speak on a video because I'm afraid that people are going to think this and that. Um, how do we kind of deal with that? Because I mean, I think personally, people with an accent is kind of it's a nice thing, to kind of hear where they're originally from instead of trying to hide it too much.
Yeah, exactly. I think an accent is a great thing. It tells us your history of who you are, and we really get to know you. Really, for me, it's not about getting rid of your accent. You'll hear terms like accent modification, but I like to think about it more so like accent enhancement. You're enhancing the voice that you have, the
Hmm.
accent that you have. So ultimately, all you really want to do is create clarity, which means allowing your audience to understand your message. So that comes down to two things for me: creating space within the mouth and releasing tension. When you can create that space and release tension, that's when your message goes from your body into the other person's body, because there's the passageway for the sounds and the information, for the emotions, all to travel outward. Oftentimes they get trapped within us and we don't know how to break that through into the other person because everything is so closed and tight within our articulators, which are our jaw, our lips, our tongue, our soft palate, these parts of the body that help us form sounds when we have an accent. And so when we can start creating more space, more dexterity with those muscles, releasing tension, that's when you start to really open up your accent and your voice to make that impact with the other person. So for me, no need to lose your accent. That's one of your great benefits. That's who you are. You want to share that with the world. Your ultimate goal is just to be able to be understood.
Hmm. Exactly. Yeah, I that makes sense. Yeah. Um, I lost my train of thought here, but yeah, it will get back to me. But obviously, using our voice can, help us get, further in our business and grow our business, but it can also kind of hold us back from, growing our business.
Yeah.
How do you suggest we kind of get that going to help us grow it versus, holding us back?
Yeah. Well, I think awareness is the first step and is really key. A lot of us have no idea that our voice could be holding us back or repelling people from actually wanting to work with us. One of the easiest things to do is start watching back what you're putting out there or listening back to what you're putting
Hmm.
out there. So if it's a bit video,
That
you
can be hard though.
yeah, it is hard. It can be confronting. And that, that's why I do it with a lot of my clients. I go through that process with them because a lot of us don't want to watch the video. We don't want to listen to the podcast because we are already hesitant or feel awkward using our voice, putting ourselves out there. And so the moment that we can start to confront those fears and those worries and insecurities and sit down, like you would do a launch debrief, right? You would do a launch debrief. This is your voice debrief. It's your performance review of your voice. You
Hmm.
sit down and you really assess your performance. I think of it like a performance, your voice and how you present yourself, whether it's a launch or in a video or in a podcast. We're assessing how well did we do, and we're looking at all the different areas about your voice and really, seeing what our strengths were and what our weaknesses are and how we can improve for next time. So that's really key for me. And then, from there, it's about looking at those areas that we can enhance and starting to practice that and work on that and utilize that in different ways, whether it's an off the cuff conversation with somebody, it could be on a discovery call, or it could be preparing your launch copy for a live launch, for example, or a webinar, making sure that you feel really comfortable and confident with using your voice and speaking with authority and really identifying in that launch copy, how can I connect with my audience? What are some of those key words where I can connect an emotional response to my audience? When you can do that, that's where you're going to start to go from perhaps not getting that, conversion that you're looking for to really going to that next level.
Hmm. Exactly. Um, I took a note of what I was going to say or ask you. So now I
Okay.
know. What I was going to ask you was that, there's more to voice than just, the intonations and ups and downs and all that. But there's a whole lot of other things that kind of affect our voice. What are some of those things that can affect our voice or how we use
Yeah.
our voice?
It starts with how we're feeling, our state of mind, right? So if you're not feeling 100%, we will hear it in your voice. If you're hesitant or
Hmm.
not sure, let's say you've got a launch and you're nervous about the launch. Maybe uh, last time you did a webinar, and this time you're doing a 5-day challenge, and so there's a lot of changes. So if you're in a frame of mind of feeling nervous before you go live, for example, well, we're going to hear that in your voice. You can hear that
Hmm.
insecurity or that nervous energy, that bubbling of excitement. It all comes through in your voice. So if you can get yourself into a really great frame of mind leading up to something like that, it really makes a great impact within your launch.